Live. This is the podcast where we talk about entertainment, pop culture, and life in between. I'm your host, Kevin T. Rodriguez, film critic of iCritic.net. Thank you so much for spending a few minutes of your time here with me today. And this one's kind of being put together at the last minute, this episode. I was going to do another episode later on, and it was going to go up Tuesday, but, well, oh boy, did things hit the fan. Now, we're going to put the explicit content warning on here just in case. There's going to be some sensitive things discussed. But let's talk about Emilia Perez. Now, one thing that I regret that I did not do in a timely manner is I did not do my Oscar nominations reaction. I know a lot of my friends and fellow film critic YouTubers like to do that. I'm kind of okay by doing it. Sometimes I do it, sometimes I don't. It's just sometimes by the time I get around to it and by the time it goes up, it's kind of outdated news, and so I just kind of move on. I'd rather work on the next Oscar book, which, by the way, you can pre-order at Kickstarter. The link will be in the description of wherever you are listening to this podcast below. But one thing that I have been very vocal about, at least if you follow me on social media and if you've been listening to my other podcast episodes, is that I think the fact that Emilia Perez, the Netflix bid for Best Picture this year, which their bid probably should have succeeded with Roma. It didn't. Or The Power of the Dog. It didn't. Basically, Netflix has had many shots up. It's scary to think that for a hot moment in time, it looked like this would be the one that would get Netflix their Oscar. But I am pretty confident in saying that it's not going to get that anymore. And that is because while I always thought the 13 Oscar nominations that it got, which, by the way, ties movies with like Mary Poppins and The Curious Case of Benjamin Button and things like that for most nominations. Lord of the Rings: Return of the King, which won best... Oh, wait, no, that didn't get 13. The Fellowship of the Ring, that's what got 13. Despite, having all those nominations, I'm like, there's no way that this can actually win Best Picture. It's just not a good enough movie, and the backlash to the nominations was instant. And everyone hated the fact that this movie was all of a sudden the front runner. Like, Emilia Perez became the Oscar frontrunner. Like, not the Oscar frontrunner. It became the Oscar villain, I should say. And yet, Hollywood is a little, bubble. I mean, there was an event that Ron Perlman was at. For some reason, he likes this movie. And he seemed shocked when someone mentioned the intense backlash the movie was getting. He seemed surprised that people didn't like this movie. It's like, well, why would you be surprised about that? All you have to do is watch the movie and see that it's not very good. That's all you've got to do. You watch the movie? It's not very good. That's all it is. That's all you need to do. But anyway, that's kind of besides the point. It did have all of these nominations. It seems that it was the favorite to win. But now, here's the thing. It got into some hot water because of the stars. Now, granted, some of the issues that was going on early were there before this storm hit the internet, or X, if you will, where, Mexicans were complaining about how their country and culture is portrayed in the movie, how trans people were complaining about how the trans character is not great representation of what it is to actually be trans. The fact that the director is French and doesn't speak either Spanish or English, and in fact has made comments that Spanish-speaking countries are the poorest in the world or something along that line. This movie already had controversies, but it was nothing compared to the lead star, Carla Sofia Gascon, who actually is a supporting character in the movie, even though she plays Emilia Perez. Now, Gascon has received many praise for her performance. I don't think it's a very good performance. I think Zoe Saldana is the much better performance in this movie. She got nominated for supporting actress, even though that's also a lead. Whatever. But Gascon made history. First trans actress to be nominated for Best Actress at the Oscars. And she has become the biggest liability for this movie. In fact, an article from Variety, which is called Carla Sofia Gascon's Racist Tweets and the Cautionary Tale of Emilia Perez, opens the article by saying, the title character of Emilia Perez is not a good person. Now, of course, they're referencing the fact that Emilia Perez is a drug cartel lord and everything like that. But it's also highlighting how maybe the person playing Emilia Perez is also not very good. Because yesterday, which, if God forbid, if this video goes up on time, people on social media uncovered and are still uncovering tweets from Gascon that are very racist and problematic. Like, she was caught disparaging Islam, saying that Islam was deeply disgusting. She spoke ill of George Floyd, called him a drug addict swindler. And the year of 2020, when she was watching the Academy Awards, and, there was like, I think Daniel Kaluuya, I'm always pronouncing that name wrong, won for Judas and the Black Messiah, and that one Korean woman won for Minari. Gascon tweeted that the awards was looking like an Afro-Korean festival. And yeah, here's the thing. I'm cherry picking, but the full tweets are so much worse. I feel a little uncomfortable speaking them. So anyway, that was bad enough. But then Gascon came forward and said, hey, I'm sorry if you took offense to anything. I didn't mean to offend. Lightness will overcome darkness. Some BS like that. And by the way, she said something about lightness overcoming darkness at the Golden Globes when Emilia Perez won the Golden Globe for Best Musical or Comedy, which it absolutely should not have won. Well, obviously that's not an apology, because you're basically saying, I'm sorry you felt that way. You're not apologizing for what you actually said. Well, people kept digging and they found more stuff, some of which were making jokes about Hitler and things like that, and it's like, eh. So she nuked the X account. Should have done that months ago, if I'm being honest. I'm surprised no one in PR looked at her social media and raised some red flags like, you should delete this before we start our campaign, because no one would have saw them then. No one would have seen them. But they didn't, and so now they're all out there. But here's the thing. Gascon could not just delete the X account. She had to basically say, I'm deleting the account because I will not stand for the abuse and harassment that's coming my way and my family's way. Like, oh my gosh, you said really offensive things. People are calling you out on it, and now you're complaining. Now, I do have to pause for a second and say, I don't want Emilia Perez to win, not because of this controversy. I am still someone who separates the art from the artist. That's why when people say, why do you agree with Roman Polanski winning Best Director for The Pianist? Because he did a great job making The Pianist. Yeah, the man should probably be in jail because of, that whole statutory rape thing that happened in the 70s or 80s, whenever it was. But the fact is he's not. He fled the United States, and he's continued to make films, and many of those films have been brilliant. And The Pianist was one of his best ones. So, of course, he deserves an Oscar for that if they want to give it to him. Why do you still listen to Bill Cosby records? Because they're funny. Yeah, it's a shame he's the way he is. I was very glad to see him go to jail, but the jokes are still funny. That Noah's Ark thing and The Dentist, oh my gosh, comedy gold, some of the greatest comedic sketches ever. I want Emilia Perez to lose based on the fact that it's not worth giving awards to, not because of this controversy. But here's the other thing. Emilia Perez got these nominations not because it was a good movie, not because it was high quality, but because this was a social justice cause that Academy voters felt like they could vote for. Even last year, with Oppenheimer being the clear best out of all the nominees, guess what? There was still like a war in Ukraine and Russia. North Korea is still making nuclear weapons. What better way to send a message with your vote than to make Oppenheimer the Best Picture winner, which is where the movie ends with Oppenheimer looking over a lake and realizing he gave humans the power to destroy themselves. And what a message that sends. And by the way, such a chilling ending, too. There's a reason that was the best film last year. Emilia Perez is nowhere near as good as Oppenheimer, which also got 13 nominations, I want to add. But with an incoming administration, not even incoming, the administration's here. And the fact that the new administration has already rolled back many you would say protections for trans and women and gays and lesbians, and I'm just gonna say I'm not a huge fan of what the current administration is doing in general, basically making a lot of poor decisions. A vote for a movie like Emilia Perez is a way to speak against that administration. It's a way to say, look, this is the America we see. This is the future we see. You, Trump, will not change that. Unless, of course, your main star turns out to be a racist. Turns out to be a little sexist. One of the strangest tweets that was uncovered was her making fun of Miley Cyrus's lesbian relationship several years ago, when she's a trans woman who is married to another woman and has a kid. Like, okay, that's a choice. Like, this has become a problem. So, Emilia Perez is dragging the Oscars down in more ways than one. First of all, the Academy Awards did themselves no favor by giving this movie 13 nominations. I could realistically see 5 or 6. 5 or 6 at most. Including Best Picture, if you really wanted to go that direction. But giving it 13, you already ruined the credibility of the Academy. And, well, I kind of felt the Academy was going to march forward doing what they did anyway, because, well, you gave it this many nominations, you might as well fight the fight. You might as well send the message to America that trans people exist, they're here, they make movies, they star movies, and we will award those movies. We are going to break those barriers. We are going to make history. And now, the main character of that movie turns out to be a racist. How can you honestly say you are for change, you are for equality, you are for love, and then you give awards to a movie where the main character is a terrible person who has said very terrible things? Like, this is the problem about the thoughts over art thing. In the real world, these controversial tweets would not affect things much. It's like, hey, you know what? Okay, so this actress is a pretty piece of garbage human being. The work is still good. The movie's still good, in theory. Of course it's not, but, hey, if it's still good enough, we will give the awards. We're awarding the art. We're not awarding the politics. Or we're not awarding the message, because some people don't consider this politics. It is for better or worse. But you know what? You can't even award the film based on the politics anymore because it conflicts with other politics now. Emilia Perez has given the Academy no way to win except to ignore it. And then what does the Academy do? Look, they have acted much more swiftly for Will Smith slapping Chris Rock. They acted much more swiftly for the producer of The Hurt Locker sending out an email. Heck, they acted swifter to disqualify a couple song nominations from Better Man and Alone Yet Not Alone because of things going on. And you would think that they would have acted on top of this, like say, hey, this person is disqualified from getting Best Actress because she is saying things that do not align with the Academy's values. Oh, but are you going to disqualify the first trans actor nominee? Ooh, well, maybe we can just not invite... Ooh, but we're not inviting the first trans nominee. Well, maybe we can bring her in... Oh, wait, we got the 5-on-5 thing with the Oscars where the actresses praise the nominees. Who wants to praise Gascon at this point? And who did we get to host the show this year? Conan O'Brien? Oh man, he's going to do something about this. Like, the Academy is not in a winning situation. Here's something that came out while I was recording this. This is how live it is. Zoe Saldana, who I was wondering, is she going to say something? Like, she was kind of considered the front runner, like the solid lock to win Best Supporting Actress, even though that's a lead performance. But this is the kind of thing that can drag everyone else down. So what do? Do you say something? Do you throw Carla under the bus? Do you stay quiet and look like you're complicit? Well, it turns out she has made a statement, but, well, she's not... She definitely chose her words carefully, and she did this on a press release tour, which Gascon was supposed to attend but did not. Probably a good thing. And she was there with the director, who, by the way, his comments about Mexican people and the Spanish language, they're going to get highlighted too once they've moved on from Gascon. This movie is screwed. But she said, I'm still processing everything that has transpired in the last couple of days, and I'm sad. Where it makes me really sad because I don't support it, and I don't have any tolerance for any negative rhetoric towards people of any group. I can only attest to the experience that I had with each and every individual that is a part of this film. In my experience and my interactions with them was about inclusivity and collaboration and racial, cultural, and gender equity. And it just saddens me. It saddens me that we are having to face this setback right now. But I'm happy that you're all here and that you're all still showing up for Emilia, because the message that this film has is so powerful, and the change that it can bring forward to communities that are marginalized day in and day out is important. And all that I can attest is that all of us that came together to tell this story, we came together for love and for respect and curiosity, and we will continue to spread that message. That's all we can say right now. Thank you. So basically, shutting down any questions. We're not talking about this anymore. We're making a statement. We're acknowledging it. Will this be enough? I don't know. I really don't know, because the Academy seemed really like they were going to walk headfirst into this, damn the critics, damn the audiences, this is our movie, this is our statement. But they were voting because it's like, look, even if the movie's not very good, there's stock in the statement. And because of these comments, the value of that stock has plummeted. It's worthless now. It's totally worthless. So here's the thing. Emilia Perez, first of all, I do not believe this movie's going to win. I think it'll be lucky to win anything at this point. Maybe it'll win makeup. Maybe they'll do something like a token gesture. Heck, the Academy can even get out of giving it Best International Feature Film, because there's 2 international features vying for Best Picture, so they can pick the other one. But it's fascinating to watch this take place, and it's probably just the beginning. I'm going to be following this situation very, very closely. But in the meantime, what do you think of this whole controversy? Do you think this hurts the film's chance? If you're listening to this podcast where there are comments and stuff, please comment below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And also, if you like what you hear and you want to hear more of it and support it, subscribe to the podcast. We're on Spotify, Apple, Deezer, all your podcasts of choice. And pre-order the book if you want, because I'm going to be writing a lot about Emilia Perez in that book when it comes out in October. And, as always, take care of everyone. I'll see you at the movies. Hey, you made it to the end. Thank you so much for making it to the end. Just a few more things. First of all, the names that you see on the screen, these are our Patreon and YouTube member supporters. And I thank each and every one of them. Their support helps me make exclusive videos for Patreon and YouTube members, as well as keep the channel running. And, of course, is just of huge kindness to me. Also, don't forget to check out the iCritic-led podcast on Spotify, Apple, Google, Deezer, whatever podcasting service you listen to. It is there. We definitely want to see you there. And hey, there's also other videos that you can check out. So, check out these other channels, these other videos, especially that one. I think that's a really good one.